Donald Trump is rapidly losing support as Vice President Kamala Harris continues to surge. And it's not just that she's surging in the polling. It's not that she's just bringing in historic fundraising hauls, but we are seeing anecdotal evidence all across the country of this excitement for Kamala Harris. And it's not just in Democratic-leaning states or cities. We are seeing real support for Kamala Harris in typically Trump country type places where we see lots of MAGA flags or Trump flags all over the place. We are seeing Kamala Harris signs start to pop up all over those places. We talked about this in a previous segment. CNN reported that at least 5% of Donald Trump supporters in a new poll were moving over to Kamala Harris. So this isn't just a movement of excited Democrats and independents. Even the MAGA folks are starting to move over to Kamala Harris. And we saw that in a very specific example that we are going to get to in just a second, so make sure to stick around. It is a mega viral video of Kamala Harris having huge support in a typically Trump-supporting area, and it was just so incredible to see. It was like a small rally for Kamala Harris right in the middle of Trump country, and we're going to check it out. But before we do, I want to play some polling from Fox News. I know, the Fox propaganda outlet had great polling for Kamala Harris, and I just want to give some context to where we're at in this race. So before we get to that mega viral clip, let's check this out.
Michigan registered voters put her and the former president at 49% each. That's 3 percentage points better than President Biden was performing. In Minnesota, the presumptive Democratic nominee is up and has a 6-point advantage there. They are both tied at 49 in Pennsylvania. And former President Trump has a 1-point lead in Wisconsin. Those results are comparable with the Trump versus Biden numbers.
The race is tightening, and in some instances, we see Kamala Harris pulling ahead. This is Donald Trump's worst nightmare. Joe Biden was trailing by a very significant amount in recent polling that we saw before he dropped out of the race. And while I think criticisms of Joe Biden were unfair during that race, it is true that he did not have the type of support that we see for Kamala Harris. And now Donald Trump is having his world turned on him. He was so confident that he was going to be able to breeze to a victory, but that is just not the case anymore. Like we said, even his own supporters are going over to Kamala Harris. And that couldn't be any more evident than in this clip from the Villages, where the residents of the area were driving around in golf carts all decked out for Kamala Harris. And this amazing clip posted by Brian Tyler Cohen. Let's check it out. In an area that Trump always wins by big margins in Central Florida, Kamala Harris has surging support. The excitement just all over the country is so incredible. It's palpable. We can see it in fundraising. We can see it in polling, and we can see it in the interactions that we have in our everyday life. If you're talking to your friends and your family about the state of this race, I am sure that your friends and family are excited, as mine are, about Kamala Harris and this fresh vision that we have for the future. And this is Donald Trump's absolute nightmare. This groundswell of excitement for Kamala Harris, not just in, like I said, Democratic states and cities, but in the places that he traditionally wins. We don't just have excitement for Kamala Harris, but we have people out there making the case for her. And we see MAGA converts, people who were used to be in the MAGA mindset, finally realizing that I can't vote for a convicted felon. I can't vote for this already failed president. I should be voting for Kamala Harris. And so in these Trump counties, in these Trump areas, in these places where we usually see the MAGA flags and the Trump posters, we're not seeing the same as usual. We're seeing a movement towards Kamala Harris. And it's no wonder that Donald Trump is now so scared and sending out all these gross and disgraceful attacks on Kamala Harris, because he is afraid. And he is also afraid to debate her, because he knows that if that contrast is made on national television with tens of millions of people watching, it will hurt him even more than her candidacy of only a week already has. And Pete Buttigieg did a great job calling Trump out for being afraid to debate. So let's check that out.
Donald Trump and his campaign have suggested that he may not follow through with the debate in September that had been scheduled to be with President Biden. Now, of course, would be the vice president, assuming she does wrap up the nomination as expected. What do you make of that?
It's extraordinary. Tough talk is this guy's calling card. And now there's this extraordinary show of weakness. He agreed to, he said anytime, any place. But more than that, he agreed to this specific debate on this specific network on this specific date. And now he's pulling out. And of course, it shows that he's afraid. It shows that he knows if the two of them are on a stage together, it's not going to end well for him.
Pete perfectly points out the hypocrisy of Donald Trump, who wants to act like he's all strong and tough, but there's nothing tough about being a bully and relentlessly attacking someone online. That's not what being tough is. Being tough is standing up to bullies like Donald Trump. Being tough is making tough decisions like Joe Biden has in his presidency, and most recently making the tough decision to pass the torch to Kamala Harris. That's what being tough, that's what being a leader is all about. And Pete is absolutely right in saying that Donald Trump is scared of the contrast that would be presented between him and Kamala Harris, one vision for the future and one vision of the past. And it's not just that Donald Trump is the past because he is much, much older than Kamala Harris, the oldest candidate for president in history. He's old because his presidency was the past, his presidency was a failure, and his ideas still are old. They are ideas that want to push us back 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. They want to strip away our fundamental freedoms that are hard fought and won and push this country back to a place of division and unrest and anger. And so that's why Donald Trump does not want to debate. That's why he's so scared, because he sees his supporters already start to move. They may be in small numbers now, but they can be in bigger numbers soon. But they are moving to Kamala Harris. We see this surge in excitement for her, and it is just so incredible to see. And it's because that she is going out on the campaign trail. It's only been a week, but she is making incredible arguments like this in this clip. Let's check it out.
And this campaign is also about two different visions for our nation. One, where we are focused on the future. The other, focused on the past. We believe in a future where every person has the opportunity not just to get by, but to get ahead. A future where no child has to grow up in poverty. Where every worker has the freedom to join a union. Where every person has affordable health care, affordable child care, and paid family leave. We believe in a future where every senior can retire with dignity. So all of this is to say, building up the middle class will be a defining goal of my presidency.
I love that line. Not just the freedom to get by, but the ability to get ahead. The freedom to get ahead. MAGA is, of course, a hypocritical movement. The Republican Party is a hypocritical party. They say that they care about freedom, yet they want to take away women's reproductive freedoms. They say that they want to back the blue, but they sent a violent mob to attack Capitol Police officers on January 6th, and the nominee for president of their party is a convicted felon. MAGA is a party of hypocrisy. But what Kamala Harris is doing right now is making a clean and laying out a clear vision for the future. She is saying, here is my record, and here is what I will do going forward. This is what I've learned while doing this job. This is what I've learned from President Biden, and I'm going to continue to push those same values and continue to have historic success if I am elected president. She is laying out the case on the campaign trail in such an incredible way, and it's why, like I said, Donald Trump is so scared to debate her. And it's why his movement is kind of slowly being chipped away at as they move over to Kamala Harris. This is Donald Trump's nightmare. This groundswell of support, this surging in the polls that we see for Kamala Harris, this movement of Trump supporters away from Trump to Kamala Harris. It's what upsets him most, not just losing, but losing his own supporters. And that's why we see him get angry and unravel in his recent speeches, just make these disgraceful attacks on Kamala Harris, because he can't talk about her record. He has no real criticism of her record. He is just angry and vengeful and wants to attack in the most disgraceful ways. And it's turning off voters, frankly. We've seen huge support in the polls from suburban women for Kamala Harris because Donald Trump's rhetoric and, of course, his actions turn them off. They dissuade them from wanting to vote for him. And so Donald Trump continues to lose support in all demographics and will continue to until he loses the election in November. And if you are excited for that to happen and want to continue this fight to make sure that we elect Kamala Harris, make sure that you hit that subscribe button, you join this movement that we are building, you leave a like on this video. It really helps grow this channel. Hitting that thumbs up helps push out these videos, and it helps support what we are doing here. And if you are a new subscriber, as always, let me know in the comments. I'd love to thank you for your support. It really means the world to me. This channel is only 2 weeks old. We're just a little more than 2 weeks old, and we have already blown past 70,000 subscribers. And that is because of your support, viewer, and it really means the world to me. It really does. I'm so grateful for what we have already built and what we will continue to build. And until next time, I'll see you soon.